The system that had been dormant for 8 years suddenly spoke up. It told me I had the wrong script, that I wasn't the female lead of the novel. As the villainess, not only had I slept with the female lead's man, but I had actually married him. After the real female lead appeared, I would become insanely jealous and self-destructive, ultimately being killed by my own husband. I packed my bags overnight and hurriedly ran off, leaving the divorce papers behind, but I never expected that all flights would be halted that day. Fu Shenshi, with his bodyguards, cornered me at the airport, holding the divorce papers. He smiled coldly. "Darling, this joke isn't funny. I remember the first time I met Fu Shenshi. I was 15, and he was 15. I was munching on a delicious rigiamo by the roadside, while he was getting beaten up in the alley. I've never been the type to meddle in other people's business, so when I heard the noise, I just glanced into the alley and kept walking while eating my bun. But I hadn't gone more than a few steps when the system found me. It told me that the one getting beaten up in the alley was the future male lead, and if I stayed with him, I could get a reward of 1 billion. So I immediately picked up a brick from the roadside and rushed in. Even though I got hit on the head, at least the billion was saved. After that, I pestered Fu Shenshi every day, trying every possible way to win him over. But it's like this guy could see right through my intentions. He kept a straight face all day, as if the billion I hadn't gotten yet was something I owed him. But for a billion, I endured it. After 8 years, turning down 3 different heiresses' offers of 1 million, 2 million, and 3 million, and then rejecting Fu Shenshi's mother's offers of 5 million and 10 million, I finally got my wish and walked into the marriage hall with Fu Shenshi. I did indeed get a billion. I thought this billion would be transferred to my account through some flashy, over-the-top method by the system, but it turned out to be Fu Shenshi's bride price. But I didn't take it to heart. After all, isn't it said that the process doesn't matter, as long as the outcome is right? It's right. Now that the task was completed, I was torn over whether to divorce Fu Shenshi. After all, he really didn't seem to like me, if it weren't for the fact that I slept with him when he was drugged by someone else. This task probably wouldn't have been completed so quickly. My long-dead white moonlight, the god of wealth system, has come back to life. Damn it, you married the male lead. Damn it, you even forced yourself on the male lead. Amidst the system's mechanical voice, which sounded like a boiling kettle and was filled with an extremely high density of curses, I barely managed to figure out why I was being scolded. Roughly speaking, I'm not the female lead, but I mistakenly thought I was. Pestered the male lead for 8 years, not only married him, but also took his virginity. Damn, no wonder. Fu Shenshi kept pulling a deadpan face day after day, and I thought I was playing the role of a tragic romance heroine, rubbing my hands together every day, waiting for the green tea white lotus to come provoke me. But, wow, turns out I got the cannon fodder script. If it weren't for the protagonist's halo, those 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 million wouldn't have landed on me. What the hell are you doing? The system was clearly on the verge of a breakdown, but since it's already happened, I can only comfort it. I know you're anxious, but don't rush. Hey, Tui, back off, back off, back off. I'm going to skin you alive, tear out your tendons, devour your flesh, drink your blood, gnaw on your bones. He. The system was probably truly going mad. After a bout of sinister laughter, it started crying again. Wow, my fate is so bitter. This is my first mission. Not only did I get knocked offline right from the start, it took me 8 long years to finally repair, and just when I thought I was back, my dear male lead got seduced by a villain. Oh father, oh mother, oh heavens above. But this really isn't my fault, is it? I'm making excuses. Back then, you said you'd give me 1 billion if I conquered the male lead. Besides, who knew you were hiding in my head? My head is fine, but you're broken. What kind of system is so fragile? The system said resentfully. All right, so it's my fault for taking the hit for you. Is that it? You ungrateful, heartless. Oh, Dad, oh, Mom, oh, heavens above. The system started wailing again. This whole thing is actually a beautiful misunderstanding. Back when the system first approached me, it wanted to act cool and show off. So it said succinctly, woman, save the male lead, and you will receive 1 billion. 1 billion, who could stay calm with that? So I immediately stuffed the last 2 bites of my rigiamo into my mouth, picked up a brick from the roadside, and charged into the alley. Seeing how proactive I was, the system immediately got even more excited. Go for it, I'll handle the aftermath. As long as the male and female leads end up together, I'll give you a 1 billion reward. So I fought even more fiercely, because I was a bit frenzied. I didn't guard against the sneak attack, but I wasn't injured because the system blocked it for me. How dare you hurt my person? Then it fell silent. At the time, I was still praising it in my heart as a helpful, praise-averse system. But it turned out it wasn't that it didn't want to hear flattery, it was that the blow had directly shattered it. You dare to go on without me telling you who the female lead is? Don't you know to wait for the damn notice? Wait for the damn notice. After being scolded for a long time, my temper flared up too. I started arguing back. Is this really my fault? Is this really my fault? Who the hell knew the system was so fragile? 5 minutes of showing off, 8 years of fixing. Woo-woo, you're still being mean to me. I've never seen someone as ungrateful as you. I helped you block the damage, and not only do you not appreciate it, but you're still being mean to me. Woo-woo. After crying for a while, it said fiercely again, just you wait, the female lead is about to appear, and you've already become the vicious supporting character who competes with her for the male lead. You'll soon go crazy with jealousy and self-destruct. And in the end, Fu Shincher will personally finish you off. Damn, so after holding back for so long, turns out I was just a fool. When you can't take it anymore, there's no need to hold back anyway. With a billion in hand, I've got heaven on earth. A man who doesn't like me, even if he's somewhat attractive and has power and money, I don't even care to fight for him. So I started drafting the divorce agreement that very day and ran away that night while Fu Shincher was working overtime. The stupid system kept chattering in my ear, don't waste your energy. You can't escape the grasp of the male and female leads. Just wait to be slapped and tortured. He, I'm going to skin you, pull out your tendons, eat your flesh. I punched myself in the forehead. It went quiet. I was feeling quite agitated, wondering if this damn system was actually accurate, when the airport broadcast announced a message. Dear passengers, due to an unexpected situation, all flights tonight will be delayed. Damn, what terrible luck. Just as I was considering whether to go make a fuss at the service counter, I looked up and saw a familiar figure. That figure stands tall and straight like a pine tree, with an aura as grand as a rainbow. 1 glance, a lifetime. 2 glances, the next life. 3 glances, damn it, isn't that my supposed-to-be ex-husband? The aloof, genius, expressionless iceberg of a man who should be standing before the luxurious floor-to-ceiling windows on the top floor of a downtown office building, holding a glass of red wine, looking down on the world, and pondering who to bankrupt when the weather turns cold. Why is he here? To catch me and take me back? No way. According to the system's explanation and my experience, he would definitely catch me and bring me back. After all, a domineering CEO's pride is paramount, and something like divorce must be initiated by him. Women, scary. The system hated me to the core. Even though it was beaten into instability, it still had to come out and mock me, so I gave it another punch, hoping it would sleep a little longer this time. 2 young girls nearby we're gossiping. Wow, my first time being an outbound NPC. I'm a bit excited. Look at you, so easily impressed. Watch me. The second girl straightened her clothes, full of fighting spirit. I almost thought she was going to go after Fu Shincher, but then she said, oh, by the way, is this story a romance or a BL? Romance. This young master's physique is a bit too much for the BL circle. Damn, can't laugh, can't laugh, can't laugh. So not cool. Just as I was holding back laughter to the point of internal injury, and the 2 girls were debating whether this book was romance or BL, a shadow fell over me. I looked up and met Fu Shincher's icy face. He clenched the divorce papers, gritting his teeth and saying, honey, this joke isn't funny. The girl beside him covered her mouth. Holy crap, it's the mute groom and bride, the 2 things I'm best at in my life. Lie flat, let it rot anyway. There's no escaping it. The male and female leads, the system, let them do whatever they want. At worst, they can just kill me. If the universe explodes and the world restarts in the 21st century, I'll be a good girl again. It's just a bit frustrating. I crossed my legs, propped my cheek on my hand, and stared out the window at the scenery rushing backward, all while pondering in my mind the feasibility of going crazy like the system, turning dark, and beating the world to a pulp. After an unknown amount of time, Fu Shincher finally spoke. Why did you suddenly start making a fuss? Because I'm Annoyed with you, Fu Shinshu remained silent for a long while before asking again. Why? I sneered, turned to look at him, and retorted, now that you see me with a sour face, are you happy? Fu Shinshu didn't answer, turning instead to look at his own knee. See, you know it's unpleasant too, and me, I've been looking at your sour face for 8 years. 8 years. Do you know how I've lived through these 8 years? Although it was indeed me who actively approached him in the first place. But to take a step back, since I'm already the villainess, what's wrong with having a little verbal satisfaction? It's just that Fu Shinshu's reaction was really baffling. He actually asked me, don't you like it this way? I could almost laugh out of sheer frustration. Please, big brother, I'm not a masochist. How could I possibly enjoy someone giving me a cold shoulder every day? What are you thinking? Then Fu Shinshu added, you said you like it when people ignore you, just as I was about to argue. A strange memory flashed through my mind, memories long forgotten and buried in the dust. 8 years ago, there was a boy who liked me and kept pestering me. I got annoyed and told him, I like those who ignore me. In that moment, my struggle, my defiance, my pride, my endurance of humiliation, my nose, round and red, yes, I'd become a clown. After a long silence in the car, Fu Shinshu spoke again. So, was I mistaken? I wiped my face and tilted my head at a 45-degree angle to gaze at the office building windows still lit up late at night. Don't talk, I want to be quiet. Fu Shinshu indeed stopped speaking. While my soul was crawling through the darkness of Gotham City, a sudden inspiration struck me, and I discovered a blind spot. Hey, wait, what did you mean by what you just said? Fu Shinshu turned to look at me. Which part? I shut my mouth. Then the airport girl's exclamation, holy shit. It's the mute groom and bride, hit my soul all over again. Tisk, it's just you saying I like those who ignore me, aren't you? I scratched the back of my head somewhat uncomfortably. Don't you like me? Fu Shinshu looked at me deeply for a long moment before asking in return, otherwise, Zhu Xinshin, if I didn't like you, why would I bring you breakfast every morning? Why would I remember your menstrual cycle and regularly bring you brown sugar water and painkillers? Why would I clean up after you when you get into fights with others? Why would I put aside my studies and work to be with you when you go to the hospital? I frantically covered Fu Shinshu's mouth. Stop talking, I'm afraid of divine retribution. Fu Shinshu rarely disobeyed, but this time he pushed my hand away, his eyes filled with hurt as he accused. If I didn't like you, why would I have married you? Zhu Xinshin, you can't be so unreasonable. I've been holding back and enduring every day just so you wouldn't hate me. But that's exactly what made you dislike me, and you even left. Without a word, after Fu Shinshu finished speaking, the system once again lifted the coffin lid. Damn it, Zizi my son, Zizi left atrium, Zizi right atrium, just Zizi. Only you Zizi still Zizi, scold Zizi. The airport attendant's remark, holy crap, it's the mute groom and bride, once again struck a heavy blow to my soul. No, Fu Shinshu is the real mute, the villainess never admits defeat. So I coughed twice to boost my own momentum and retorted fiercely, is it my fault? Is it my fault? I wasn't even talking to you when I said that back then. You never asked me, and you've been stewing in your own imagination for 8 years. What was I supposed to do? I'm not a mind reader. How was I supposed to know if you were just pretending to be aloof or genuinely repressed? I'm sorry. No, bro, you're apologizing just like that. It makes me seem like I'm being unreasonable even though I actually am. But still, I won't do it again in the future. The second arrow pierced my conscience. Don't be angry anymore, okay? Shin, mute bride, mute groom, mute bride. The airport attendant seemed to transform into a benevolent bodhisattva, murmuring softly in my ear with a gentle smile. Fu Shinshu was about to speak again, but I reached out and covered his mouth. I took a deep breath, straightened the 4 fingers of my right hand, and held them upright in front of me. Amitabha, I forgive you, don't say any more, or else my Buddha will no longer be merciful. Fu Shinshu wasn't angry either. He grabbed my hand, kissed it in his palm, his eyes curving into crescents as he said with a smile, all right, since I didn't hit myself too hard, after all, it was my own head. The system spent 3 days successfully repairing itself, teetering between playing dead and feigning resurrection. Its crazy phase has passed, and now it's fallen into a depressive period. Sighing in my head all day long, I'm so foolish, really, and every time it appears, it's especially well-timed, specifically popping out right when Fu Shencher and I are being intimate, scaring me limp several times. If it weren't for Fu Shencher doing the work, our shameless happiness would probably have ended within a month. Recently, it has become quite cunning, scaring me and then running away, seeing me frequently hitting my own head. Fu Shencher took me to the psychiatric department several times. The final outcome is that, aside from being a bit low in both IQ and EQ, there's nothing wrong. I even had a big argument with the doctor over this. Didn't win, and was carried away by Fu Shencher. It's not that I've forgotten the airport lady's warning again, but every time I tried to tell Fu Shencher about the system, it would automatically mute those parts, making him suspect I'd swallowed a telegraph machine. I thought, well, I'll just write it out, but this little system actually has some tricks up its sleeve. Every time I try to write about the system, my hand starts automatically scribbling nonsense. Fu Shencher looked at my talisman for a long time before finally asking me, "Do you need me to find you a teacher?" I politely declined. I can't speak, I can't write. Now I'm just completely giving up. It's not that I'm deliberately playing dumb, I'm just being silenced. Seeing that I had stopped struggling, the system began to cackle with a sinister, "ha ha ha," once more. Then, that very night, after I had 3 intense rounds with Fu Shencher, it fell into depression again. However, its depression didn't last long before it started gloating once more, because the male and female leads were about to meet. This sense of triumph reached its peak when Fu Shencher told me that the Chiao family had invited us to attend their eldest daughter's engagement banquet. So this eldest daughter of the Chiao family, who went missing for 19 years, is the female lead. Yes, I'm telling you, this is a rebirth story with a strong female lead. If you steal the male lead from her, you're just asking to be tormented. Its smugness came to an abrupt halt when I told Fu Shencher that I didn't want to go and instead wanted to play cosplay with him tonight. The system screamed, "You shameless vixen, you actually seduced my son. I'll skin you alive, rip out your tendons, eat your flesh, drink your blood, gnaw on your bones." It's gone crazy again. So I gave it another punch. In the end, I didn't play with Fu Shencher that night, because I was more curious about the female lead and Fu Shencher's attitude toward her. I have to say, the female lead truly lives up to her role. That face, that figure, that aura, wow, if I were into women, I'd definitely be strutting my stuff. But Fu Shencher clearly had no interest, his face looking as if the Chiao family owed him 30 billion, making almost no one dare to approach. "Hey, what do you think of the Chiao family's eldest daughter?" Fu Shencher ignored me. I asked again. Fu Shencher still ignored me. I turned my head and saw him browsing through the photos he had taken of me and him playing the system. Whimpered, "My son is being corrupted by you, zzz, bah, shameless, always pinning every piece of trash on me." While the system was crying with a buzz sound, I turned around, cupped Fu Shencher's face, and just as he was about to ask me what I was doing, I slammed my forehead right into his. With a thud, I directly left a red mark on Fu Shencher's forehead. The system fell silent. Fu Shencher covered his forehead and complained, "Zhu Xinxin, you're going too far. It was you who went back on your word, and now I'm just trying to quench my thirst by looking at plums, yet you resort to domestic violence." There were whispers all around, but neither of us were the type to care about saving face, so we paid no attention. I explained, "I'm not criticizing your appearance, it's just that your mom just scolded me." Fu Shencher was completely confused, because he was bent over. I cupped his face again and kissed his forehead, leaving 2 bright red lipstick marks. Fu Shencher didn't ask further about when his mother had contacted me, but instead smiled and asked when I was going home. "Don't panic, let's keep watching." Fu Shencher's face fell again, just as I expected. The younger daughter of the Chiao family tried to frame the eldest daughter who had just returned, but ended up being exposed instead. Although the evidence was clear, the Chiao parents and their 3 sons acted as if they were under a spell, fiercely protecting the younger daughter, faced with such biased parents. The eldest daughter of the Chiao family confronted the 6 of them for a moment, then looked up at us with a puzzled expression. This scene was quite interesting. I turned to look at Fu Shencher beside me, who was frowning and staring at me. A flicker of struggle flashed in his eyes, and just as he was about to speak, I pinched his upper and lower lips tightly with 2 fingers. I turned to the Chiao family with a smile and said, Mr. and Mrs. Chiao, aren't you being a bit too biased, if you don't like this daughter? Why did you bring her back in the first place? Because of Fu Xinche's status, the couple across from us, though displeased, didn't dare to say much. The two older sons remained calm and composed, but the youngest son, still immature, immediately jumped in to argue. This isn't a big deal, and besides, Xiao Yu wasn't harmed. What's the point of her being so aggressive? What's more, Shu Shu is her younger sister. Shouldn't an older sister be more accommodating to her younger sister? After he finished speaking, Xiao Yu across from him threw a glass at his feet. The young man screamed and immediately started cursing. Xiao Yu said, "Is it really necessary for you to be so aggressive, third brother? You haven't suffered any harm, and besides, you're my brother. Shouldn't a brother be more forgiving toward his sister?" The young man's face flushed red with anger. Xiao Shu, who was being shielded by the Qiao family, whimpered like a wronged little rabbit. "Sister, please don't be angry with third brother, it's all my fault. I'll leave now, so please don't be angry." With these words, everyone once again turned their criticism toward Xiao Yu. The final outcome was Xiao Yu leaving with a cold laugh. After Xiao Yu left, the plot should have ended, so I pulled Fu Xinche and we went back too. Fu Xinche seemed to be holding back a surge of anger inside. He drove at a breakneck speed all the way home. As soon as we got back and closed the door, before we even had a chance to change our shoes, he grabbed me and kissed me like a madman. Even when we were out of breath, he still didn't let go of his arms, holding me tightly. He kept repeating 3 words over and over. "I love you." The system came back to life in my ear again, cursing at me with a ZZ electric current sound. "It's all because of ZZ you ZZ my ZZ male lead ZZ." It didn't finish speaking before I bumped my head against Fu Xinche's chin, knocking it out again. Fu Xinche gasped in pain, but his arms still didn't let go. After a long delay, he said pitifully, "Honey, I think I was just possessed by a ghost." I wanted to say no, you're being controlled by the plot, but what came out was a bunch of gibberish. Damn it, this isn't allowed, that isn't allowed either. I'm practically fuming with anger, so I dragged the male lead, who belongs to the female lead, into a fierce battle with the system for 4 rounds. Fu Xinche told me to stay away from Xiao Yu from now on, saying there's something off about him, yet he kept running into Xiao Yu. By chance, it wasn't me investigating him. He was the one who approached me and told me. I still remember the next morning, before I even got out of bed, Fu Xinche rushed home in a panic, insisting we should emigrate. "Honey, go, get out of here. City A isn't safe." After I repeatedly assured him that I wouldn't get angry, Fu Xinche finally explained to me, with a pitiful look, what had happened today. Actually, it wasn't much. It was probably just that he happened to see Xiao Yu walking to school while driving in the morning, and then, for some reason, he offered to give her a ride to school, and even had his assistant buy her breakfast. All of this happened so naturally, as if it was something he was supposed to do all along. Only after parting ways with Xiao Yu did he and his assistant snap back to reality. Staring at each other in horror, they decided to skip work altogether and headed straight back home. I yawned and patted his head. It's fine, it's all in the past. Besides, even if you wanted to leave, you couldn't." Fu Xinche looked at me with a horrified expression. "What do you mean?" I instinctively sent a string of Morse code, then shut my mouth and sighed. "Don't believe me, try it yourself." Fu Xinche immediately called his assistant who managed the private jet, only to find out the plane had malfunctioned and couldn't fly at all. Then, unwilling to give up, he went to book a commercial flight. Every time he spotted a flight he liked, the moment he clicked on it, he was bounced back. When he clicked again, the tickets were already sold out, so he asked his assistant to help him snag tickets, but even the assistant couldn't get any. In his desperation, Fu Xinche was about to mobilize the entire company to help, but I stopped him. He looked at me with a terrified expression, then his eyes slowly reddened. "Honey, what on earth is going on?" I sent him a string of telegrams. I scratched my head, and in the end, I could only comfort him. "Don't be afraid, just let things take their natural course. I'll handle everything." Fu Xinche let out a soft and threw himself into my arms, whimpering quietly, "Honey, thank goodness you're here." Ever since we cleared the air last time, the domineering CEO has become more and more of a softie. Oh well, who made him my creation? I held his face and gave him 2 heavy kisses, then drifted off to sleep again in a daze. I had originally planned to go find Xiao Shu early, but Fu Xinche had been feeling very insecure lately, so he clung to me all day long. However, compared to Xiao Shu, the Fu Corporation was more important. After all, it was my cash cow, so I spent the entire week at the Fu Corporation. During that time, we had 2 more confrontations with Xiao Yu. Fu Xinche always exuded an especially domineering CEO aura at such moments, both authoritative and restrained. While I was secretly planning to have him play this role with me a few more times in the future, I cheerfully snatched away all the lines he had intended to use to show concern for Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu would always look puzzled at this, but aside from expressing thanks, she never said much more. Then, once Xiao Yu's figure disappeared from the campus, Fu Xinche would let out a heavy sigh, lean against me with a whimper, and ask me in a pitiful tone, "Honey, when will this tough life ever come to an end?" I pat his little dog head and scratch his little dog chin. "There's no need to rush this, rushing won't help. Besides, look, I'm not even angry with you, am I?" At this, Fu Xinche once again shows a dissatisfied expression. "You're not jealous at all. Do you not like me that much? How could that be? In this world, besides myself, you are the person I like the most." Humph, sweet talk. I shook my head and spoke seriously to Fu Xinche for the first time. "It's not sweet talk, I'm serious." Fu Xinche was taken aback for a moment, then smiled again. "I know, I can feel it." Half a month later, I finally found a chance to see Xiao Shu. She looked tired. I asked her, "Have you been very tired lately?" She nodded subconsciously, then quickly tried to backtrack. "It's exam week lately. It'll be fine after the exams are over. Since you're so tired, why not let go of some unimportant things, like targeting and framing Xiao Yu?" Xiao Shu's face turned pale, still wanting to argue. "Mrs. Fu, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never." Before she could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by the photos I threw on the table. Those were the evidence of her framing Xiao Yu over the past few days. Xiao Shu froze for a moment, then finally said with a cold expression, "Mrs. Fu, this should be our family matter." I didn't respond to her words, only asked in return, "Don't you find it strange?" Xiao Shu frowned as she looked at me. "I know the capabilities of your Fu family." "No, I'm talking about you, me." Xiao Shu looked at me strangely. I nodded and continued, "Don't you feel that ever since Xiao Yu returned, you've changed? Are you really afraid that the Xiao family, out of guilt for how they treated her back then, will shift all their care and attention to Xiao Yu?" Xiao Shu's brows were tightly furrowed. Tap, tap. I stopped her from continuing with my index finger. "Xiao Shu, you wouldn't do that, because you grew up in the Xiao family. Your upbringing and refinement wouldn't stoop so low." Zhou Shu suddenly widened her eyes. She took a heavy breath, just like Fu Xinche breaking free from the plot, like a drowning person surfacing and finally taking their first gulp of fresh air. I don't know. Zhou Shu suddenly burst into tears. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Fu, I really don't know why, but I feel scared every time I see Xiao Yu. I wasn't like this before. My parents and brother taught me that I shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't be like this." The system, which hadn't appeared in a long time, suddenly popped up again. "Bu Xinxin, are you crazy, or is your saintly heart acting up again? Xiao Shu is a bad seed. She's targeting Xiao Yu for the Xiao family's assets. What are you doing? What on earth are you trying to do?" It cursed at me incoherently, but I paid no attention. Instead, I held Xiao Shu in my arms, gently patting her back to comfort her. I know, it's all beep." I sent a string of Morse code. Xiao Shu, with tears still on her face, looked up at me in surprise. Having sent Morse code many times, I had grown accustomed to it, so I calmly changed the subject. "Don't worry about such a small matter. Let's get back to the main topic. You might still forget the lessons you've learned later on and develop hostility towards Xiao Yu, but remember, don't be afraid. Try to restrain yourself if you can, and if you can't, admit your mistake promptly. It will quickly collapse." "What is it?" Xiao Shu looked at me in shock. "Don't worry, collapse is a positive term here." Although he couldn't quite grasp the situation, Xiao Shu still nodded in agreement after my repeated assurances. After Xiao Shu left, the system continued to chatter in my mind, so I gave it a solid headbutt and sent it packing. I spit on that, as the person involved Can't I judge whether Xiao Shu is a bad seed or not? During my junior year of college, I followed the trend and wrote a story about a true and false heiress. However, considering that in the original story, the fake heiress was doted on and taught by the real heiress's parents and brothers for nearly 20 years before being redeemed later on, I didn't portray the fake heiress as a malicious supporting character who would do anything to seize what was never rightfully hers. Since I was just writing for fun, I never published it. I only shared it privately with friends, but halfway through writing, a novel appeared online with large sections of text identical to mine. What's even more infuriating is that, to make the novel more satisfying to read, that bastard turned all the male supporting characters I had painstakingly developed into the female lead's devoted followers, and all the female supporting characters into her romantic rivals. I was so furious that I immediately got into a heated argument with that author for 300 rounds. I don't know if it was because I was too angry, but with a snap, I ended up transmigrating into the story. At first, I didn't realize I had transmigrated into a book, until the system found me and told me that the person in the alley was Fu Xinshi. Yes, I rushed in not because of the 10 billion, but because of Fu Xinshi. Then I realized I was stuck in a book, but I didn't know whether I was stuck in my own book or that plagiarizing dog's book across the way, because it didn't change the male lead's name, but everything else was altered, so I was a bit confused. Plus, it was still too far from the start of the plot, so I decided to lay low. Yes, just lying low by the male lead's side, because I have no clue about anything in the future. That unreliable big talking system is also fragile. It got hit once and went silent. I was completely in the dark, so I could only stick close to Fu Xinshi, and before I knew it, I ended up following him right into bed. But this really isn't all my fault. Who knew this guy would be so charming? The plot hadn't even started yet, and he was already drugged. For heaven's sake, I originally wanted to take him to the hospital or something, but he kept whining and acting all coquettish, saying he felt terrible, while nuzzling up against me. This is really such a pretty little guy. What woman could resist him? Then I was blinded by lust, and then this guy insisted on taking responsibility, as if his life depended on it. Romance novel male leads are all like that. Their core is not born for any particular person, but they all possess the beautiful virtue of unwavering loyalty. Of course, the female lead is like this, the supporting female character is like this, and everyone should be like this. What makes them complete individuals is not another person, but their wisdom, character, upbringing, health, and values. What makes them whole is their independent soul and body, not some elusive fate. Although it's now certain that this novel was plagiarized by that scoundrel across the way, by the time I entered, this place had already become a new world, so, the people here should also possess the thoughts and behaviors that are rightfully theirs. Xiao Shu still targeted Xiao Yu as usual, but as time went on, she acted less frequently. After that, I met the other members of the Qiao family one by one, and the negativity around Xiao Yu gradually diminished. This wasn't the result of countless slaps in the face to supporting characters and villains, as in the original story, but rather the awakening of more and more so-called supporting characters and cannon fodder. The system was practically going crazy. What on earth are you doing? This is my book. This is my world. Everything about them should be under my control. Faced with this, I immediately delivered a headbutt. One hit won't do, then 2 hits. Recently, thanks to this guy's training, I feel my skull has noticeably hardened. 2 months later, Fu Xinshi came home and happily spun me around in circles. Wife, I controlled myself today. I controlled myself today. When I met Xiao Yu today, I didn't even glance at her. I gave him a big kiss on the face. Excellent. After I stopped being attached at the hip with Fu Shen, Xiao Yu started avoiding me. I knew she was deliberately avoiding me because I tried to find her many times, but she always made excuses to refuse. Later, I saw her from a distance, and she turned and walked away. I didn't chase after her, and I didn't look for her again after that. I'm waiting for her to take the initiative to reach out to me. On New Year's Eve, while I was pasting couplets with Fu Xinshi, Xiao Yu appeared at the entrance of the villa. She looked at us with confusion, as if she couldn't understand our actions. When Fu Xinshi saw Xiao Yu, his gaze became distant for a moment. But after I spoke, he suddenly snapped back to reality and then fled home as if he had seen a flood or a wild beast. I was about to leave when Xiao Yu called out to me, "Mrs. Fu, can we talk?" I gladly agreed, but instead of taking her home, I went to a cafe, we sat face to face, and she didn't speak immediately, seemingly hesitant. I didn't speak either, just waited for her. Mrs. Fu, I smiled at her, she said. I find it very strange. What's strange? She didn't answer directly, but instead asked another question. Do you believe in reincarnation? Yes. Xiao Yu's eyes lit up. Are you too? I am not, but I believe that everything you tell me now, I will believe. Xiao Yu was taken aback for a moment, and then her wooden expression finally changed. She showed a faint smile but didn't ask me why. She then began to tell her own story. She said she was reborn. In her previous life, her biological parents and brother all blindly trusted the fake heiress who had been switched at birth. She was framed, despised, and abandoned, ultimately dying a tragic death on the street. Then, when she opened her eyes, she found herself back at the first day of the family recognition banquet. I swear I will definitely take revenge. How will you take revenge? Xiao Yu was taken aback. I should have become very powerful by now. Did you become stronger, or did a very powerful person suddenly appear behind you? She abruptly raised her head to look at me. Do you have a feeling that Fu Shenshi, my husband, should be your person? She didn't speak, which was essentially an admission. Don't you have a feeling that I shouldn't exist? She still didn't speak. You're right. According to the original trajectory, I shouldn't exist. The person Fu Shenshi should like is you. You did indeed rely on Fu Shenshi to complete your revenge. Xiao Yu looked at me with a shocked expression. But have you really become stronger? You haven't become stronger. You're just relying on a man's love to maintain a superficial glamour. Your core isn't you. It's love. It's Fu Shenshi's character. Only now did Xiao Yu speak up. What about you? Aren't you able to live well now precisely because of Fu Shenshi? Yes, I admitted it frankly. Without Fu Shen, I truly couldn't be a wealthy woman, nor could I enjoy such a comfortable material life. But if I leave him, I will still be happy. Being with him is like adding flowers to brocade. Parting from him, I can still stand tall and independent. I won't become lost without him. I won't become destitute without him, and I won't turn into a malicious antagonist who only knows how to go mad with jealousy for his sake. Xiao Yu fell silent again. Xiao Yu, you are whole, not that you are only whole when you are with Fu Shenshi. Since there were no cafes in the villa area, the round trip, along with the silence and conversation with Xiao Yu, meant that by the time I got back, lunch had been ready for quite a while. Fu Shenshi was on the sofa, handling work while waiting for me. As soon as he saw me return, he immediately came over and gave me a very warm hug. All settled, pretty much. Fu Shenshi's eyes curved into crescents as he held my face and planted 2 kisses on it. Excellent, my wife, that's right, otherwise how could I have won you over? Fu Shenshi said with a smile. What would I do without you? I didn't answer. After washing my hands, I started eating with him. Tomorrow we were going back to the Fu family's old house. So the aunties in the villa had finished cooking lunch and gone home for the holiday. After Fu Shenshi and I finished eating, we cleaned the dining table and kitchen together, then gathered on the sofa to binge-watch a show. We occasionally complained and teased each other. Although the villa was large and empty, it still felt warm. In the middle of the TV drama, the female lead is injured and falls off a cliff. Everyone believes she has passed away, but the male lead, as if driven mad, drops everything he is doing and begins searching for her. The bullet comments are all moved by the male lead's deep affection. I asked Fu Shenshi, if one day I suddenly disappeared, what would you do? Fu Shenshi initially thought I was joking and chuckled along, saying, of course, I would dig through the earth to find you, just like the male lead, dropping everything and everyone like that. Fu Shenshi's smile froze on his face, and he blinked, looking at me. Wife, if one day I disappear, I won't stop you from grieving, but I hope that after your grief, you can find yourself again quickly, rather than me. Fu Shenshi remained silent for a long time before asking me, will you disappear? This kind of talk isn't strange between us. After all, when everyone else is being swept along by the plot, only I remain sober. Standing still in place, I leaned my head back against Fu Shenshi's shoulder, looking up at the ceiling and said, who knows? The world is always full of all sorts of strange accidents. Maybe one day, don't say it, Fu Shenshi lowered his head, covering my mouth, and the arm wrapped around my waist tightened. Pulling me closer to him, I held Fu Shinsher's hand that was covering my mouth and gently kissed it. Fu Shinsher, don't be afraid. Precisely because we cannot predict what the future holds, we have all the more reason to cherish the beautiful present. Fu Shinsher, I love you, right here, right now, I am by your side, and I love you. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. Encountered a handsome guy with cute fangs. Just about to go up and strike up a conversation, he rushed over and shouted at me, "Mom." He said he was my son who had traveled back from 20 years in the future. I carefully examined our appearances. We do look somewhat alike. Do you have any other proof that you're my son? The handsome guy immediately put on a sad face. I got a 35 on my midterm calculus exam. Good son, definitely my own flesh and blood. I grabbed his hand, tears welling up in my eyes. Son, tell me quickly, what are the winning numbers for this week's lottery? He looked troubled. The time travel handbook says the winning numbers may change, but the winner remains the same. The winner is my dad. I didn't even have time to ask who my future husband was. The next second, an exclamation came from behind. Brother, you is amazing. He really won. I turned around and saw someone holding a lottery ticket, my arch nemesis. Well, if it isn't the ever-busy Ning. It's been a while. The moment my eyes met Pei Yu's, I rolled my eyes. Pei Yu has the looks of a handsome guy, but he's a total copycat. The necklace around his neck is the same style as mine, and he even buys unisex t-shirts in the same design but different colors. Even the perfume he wears is the same one I chose. That guy earlier was definitely a scammer. How could I possibly marry a copycat? Thinking this, my body honestly leaned in Pei Yu's direction. My peripheral vision didn't have time to make out the numbers on the lottery ticket in his hand. Pei Yu's caustic voice rang out. Su Ningyue, are you trying to scam me just because I won the lottery? In the reflection of the glass door, I was flailing my limbs, barely maintaining a 45-degree forward lean. Angered by Pei Yu, I completely lost my balance. I fell forward. Pei Yu instinctively reached out to catch me, but I dodged with a spin, snatching the lottery ticket from Pei Yu's hand in the process. Hee, you fell for it. My physical fitness is no joke. Seeing Pei Yu's winning amount, I breathed a sigh of relief. Haha, I thought I won 10 million, but it turns out it's just $100. As I said this, I glared at the handsome guy with tiger teeth standing not far away. Sure enough, he's a fraud. He looked at me with a pitiful expression. I'm not a liar. How could I understand what his eyes were saying? My dad will indeed win the jackpot, but not now. When I crossed over, I brought the mind-reading function pack with me. Don't worry, Mom, Dad doesn't have it. Being called Mom by such a handsome guy still put some psychological pressure on me. Just as I was about to tell him to stop calling me that, Pei Yu's voice sounded in my ear. Su Ningyue, why are you spacing out while talking to me? I'm not sure if it's because of that function package, but I always feel like Pei Yu's voice sounds a bit aggrieved. Suddenly, a flash of pink crossed my vision. If you can focus on listening to me, this 100 yuan is yours. I was taken aback. Has Ninggo suddenly grown a conscience today? Because the money I used to buy the lottery ticket was yours. Pei Yu raised his hand and knocked on my head without hesitation. Did you forget, last week, you bet with me and lost 10 yuan. He lowered his head, a smile flickering in his eyes, and stuffed that 100 yuan bill into my hand. The principal is yours. So the profit belongs to you too, holding that $100 bill between my fingers. I had no time to feel happy. Could it be that because the principal wasn't Pei Yu's own, he didn't win the jackpot? I looked at Pei Yu with suspicion, then I looked at the handsome guy with the cute fangs standing not far away. Upon closer inspection, the handsome guy with the cute fangs had eyes and brows somewhat similar to mine, but his lips were thin, exactly like Pei Yu's. I cleared my throat lightly. Are you really that lucky, or do you have some little trick to predict things? I look calm on the surface, but my heart is pounding like a drum. I'm terrified that Pei Yu will admit in the next second that he's my husband who traveled back from the future. Just the thought of those two words coming out of his mouth makes my vision go dark. Seeing the meaningful curve forming at the corner of Pei Yu's lips, I urgently call for a stop. You can't really tell fortunes, can you? Do you know him then? I pointed to the handsome guy with the tiger teeth in the corner. Pei Yu glanced over briefly before looking away, letting out a cold snort. Su Ningyue, Are you just casually using people to test me? Fortune-telling costs 100 per session, no bargaining. With that, he extended his hand toward me, palm facing up. He looked completely at ease. I sighed and waved to the person not far away, signaling for him to come over. Do you know him? The handsome guy with tiger teeth nodded without hesitation. The next second, he immediately spoke loudly to pay you, Dad. It was just after work in the evening, and the mall was bustling with a large crowd. This shout made passers-by turn their heads one after another. I lowered my head, trying to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Is this child really the biological offspring of Pei Yu and me? Neither of us seems to be this foolish. Pei Yu's face stiffened for a moment, then he let out a soft laugh. Su Ningyue, are you an idiot? Who plays truth or dare to trick others and ends up tricking themselves? I breathed a sigh of relief. You don't know him. The smile on Pei Yu's face suddenly vanished. He took a step closer, forcing me to look up at him. Su Ningyue, you play truth or dare with others and don't invite me. Fine, but you have to bring them right in front of me to provoke me. I choked for a moment. Is this right? Pei Yu's ability to grasp the main point is just too strange. Don't get the wrong idea. I'm her friend, Su Yun. I just came to hang out with her during the break. The little handsome guy who claimed to be my kid quickly spoke up to explain, but Pei Yu's face grew even darker. Seeing this, Su Yun desperately blinked at me. Woo-woo, Mom, did I say something wrong? I held my forehead. This kid, his eyes are blinking like a strobe light. I was just about to warn him with my eyes not to give it away. Pei Yu suddenly took a step to the left, firmly positioning himself between me and Su Yun. Su Ningyue, He leaned down to look at me, his voice practically squeezed out through gritted teeth. When did you secretly make a good friend behind my back? Why is Pei Yu acting so strangely? He was the one who ignored me first. We grew up together and were inseparable until we went to college. I used to mooch off his meals, ride on the back of his bicycle, and even copy his notes. Ever since I was little, Pei Yu has always tacitly allowed me to behave this way, until I started university. I don't know when it started, but Pei Yu began avoiding me. What's even worse is that he turned into a copycat. He buys the same things I use, and he joins every competition I enter, but every time I arrive at the competition venue, he's already long gone. If I hadn't run into him at the mall tonight, I don't know when I'd have seen him again. I didn't want to deal with him, so I turned to leave. Mom wants you to come home for dinner tomorrow night. She said she'll make your favorite typhoon shelter chicken wings. I stopped in my tracks, turning around. I met Pei Yu's gaze. What about you? What is it? I took a step closer to him, my eyes fixed unwaveringly on his. Will you be there for dinner tomorrow, or will you keep avoiding me as usual? Pei Yu's thin lips pressed into a straight line. I didn't have time to hear his answer. An overly cheerful voice suddenly chimed in. I want to eat too. At 18, Su Yun still wasn't as tall as Pei Yu at 22, so she had to stand on tiptoe, desperately sending me signals. Grandma's chicken wings are so delicious. Please, can you save one for me? I'm speechless. This level of greediness really shows she's my own flesh and blood. Pei Yu's face had already turned as dark as the bottom of a pot, but Su Yun, that naive and innocent fool, seemed completely oblivious, looking at me with bright, shining eyes. His eyes were filled with a longing for chicken wings. Pei Yu snorted coldly. Miss Su, this is a family gathering. It wouldn't be appropriate for an outsider like you to attend, would it? The two words, foreigner, were emphasized by him. Su Yun was probably too hungry, and the function of his brain to think was directly shut off. I know it's a family gathering. Looking at Su Yun's innocent expression, a sudden alarm bell rang in my heart. I was about to stop him, but it was already too late. But aren't we already a family, Dad? Pei Yu's expression gradually shifted from speechlessness to amusement. You said I'm your dad, Pei Yu sneered coldly. Then tell me, who is your mother? I stood behind Pei Yu, desperately making eye signals to Su Yun. If you dare say it, I guarantee you won't get a single chicken wing. I don't know if it's because the other version of me from another timeline is too intimidating, or if Su Yun's clever intelligence has taken the high ground again. He shrank his neck, looking tight-lipped. I can't say it. Pei Yu suddenly turned his head and glanced at me casually. Oh, is it that you can't say, or that you dare not say? I avoided Pei Yu's gaze and glared at Su Yun again. It's fine if you don't want to say, just tell me what she likes. Pei-yu twirled the Officer Judy charm on his fingertip, smiling with effortless ease. Pei-yu and I grew up together. After all these years, he naturally knows my preferences inside out, including that rabbit charm in his hand, identical to the one on my bag. As long as Soo-yun reveals even the slightest hint, he'll be able to connect the dots with me. Thinking about Pei-yu's sharp tongue, I don't even dare to imagine, if he finds out that his future spouse is me, how would he gossip about me? Soo-yun glanced at Pei-yu, who was closing in step by step, then looked at me standing behind Pei-yu, glaring at him fiercely. He simply closed his eyes, adopting a "what's done is done" attitude. My mom likes champagne roses. As soon as the words fell, the air fell silent for a moment. Pei-yu's voice trembled as he spoke. Are you serious? He and I grew up together. Of course I know. I am naturally allergic to pollen. Flowers are what I hate the most. Pei-yu glanced at me with a hint of panic in his eyes before turning back to Soo-yun. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Seeing that he was being doubted, Soo-yun looked both certain and indignant. Yes, every morning you place a bouquet of champagne roses on my mother's bedside table. After Pei-yu left, I walked over to Soo-yun and nudged him with my elbow. Did you just secretly lie? How could I possibly like flowers? Soo-yun chuckled, revealing the dimples on his cheeks. Of course I wasn't lying. I only said he would send you flowers, but I never specified whether they'd be real or fake. So clever, truly my son. I suspect Soo-yun might have some hidden features I don't know about. Ever since that day when he successfully brushed off Pei-yu, he's been acting flawlessly, as if he's unlocked some cheat code. Even when we went to Pei-yu's house for dinner the next day, he didn't raise any suspicion from his uncle and aunt about his identity. Instead, he was full of auspicious words, making the two elders laugh heartily. It was completely different from his earlier clumsy, tongue-tied self. You've noticed Soo-yun's strangeness too, haven't you? Pei-yu handed me a cup of creme brulee crispy milk tea. Since that day we met at the mall, this kid has finally stopped avoiding me. Still remembers my favorite order: less ice, 70% sugar. Not bad, not bad. A promising young man. What do you mean? You're not actually buying into his whole time travel story, are you? Pei-yu's handsome brows furrowed slightly. I went to ask around later. He's a transfer student who just arrived this year, and his family runs a business out of town. He has a proper background. I glanced at Pei-yu and didn't say a word. Soo-yun told me that before time travelers cross over, the Temporal Management Bureau helps them sort out their identities. This is written in the time travel manual. He even showed me that strange manual. But I also remember the travel fees listed at the end of the manual. The price is not cheap. Soo-yun definitely didn't travel through time on a whim. But when I asked him why he traveled through time, I just wanted to help you and my dad get together sooner. He said this while looking down, his fingertips touching his nose. It was a clear sign of lying. It seemed that at this moment, his strange cheat ability was no longer working. I snapped back to attention and caught a hint of unease in Pei-yu's expression. How did you notice something was off about Soo-yun? Pei-yu avoided my gaze and muttered, how could I possibly be with someone else in the future? What is it? Ahem. Never mind. Are you going to watch the game this weekend? I raised an eyebrow. Didn't you jump to that topic a bit too quickly? Pei-yu pinched the little rabbit charm on her bag, her ears slightly reddening. Not at all. I just heard that Soo-yun also signed up for that soccer match. Maybe we'll find some clues if we go check it out. Yes, I leaned closer to Pei-yu, catching the sweet scent of grapefruit on him. If I remember correctly, Pei-yu is also going to be on stage. All right, don't worry. I'll make some preparations so Soo-yun won't suspect anything. Under Pei-yu's probing gaze, I slowly curved the corners of my lips. Later, I'll go give him a bottle of water and ask around with the people nearby. How does that sound? Do you think it would be better to go cheer for Soo-yun to gather information? Pei-yu lowered his head, his voice somewhat muffled. Isn't this a bit inappropriate? He actually just transferred here not long ago. Wouldn't it be too over the top? I remember there are several very enthusiastic guys in their department. It should be easy to ask around. Pei-yu's fingertips gripping the pendant turned white from the pressure. Su-ning Yue, what's up? Pei-yu's eyes were slightly red at the corners, and combined with his droopy eyes, he looked a bit like a wet puppy. This weekend, it's my college versus Soo-yun's college. I know, what's up? I tilted my head, trying my best to press the corners of my mouth downward, enjoying Pei-yu's somewhat embarrassed expression. Pei-yu pinched the rabbit's ear, his voice barely audible. You're only going to cheer for Soo-yun, not for me. On the day of the competition, I stood in the crowd, holding 2 bottles of water. Pei-yu was right. Soo-yun had just transferred here not long ago, and although she was lively and cheerful, she only had a few close friends. On Pei-yu's side of the academy, there were clearly more people. He was already the campus heartthrob, and after participating in several debate competitions, the college's promotional posts with his photos made him widely known. From a distance, standing on the steps, countless young girls could be seen holding bouquets and water, but even in the vast sea of people, Pei-yu couldn't be overlooked. He was naturally fair-skinned, standing out like a crane among a flock of crows among the suntanned players. The moment my gaze locked onto him, Pei-yu's eyes looked over, then he waved at me. Don't forget what we need to do today. A message popped up. I'll keep a close eye on Soo-yun's movements. Bring me some water. I looked up and saw Pei-yu standing in the corner of the court, holding his phone and quietly waiting for a reply. The field was lush with green, but only he stood out as that one spot of white in the crowd. In an instant, my heart stirred. The voices around me and the chirping of cicadas all faded away, leaving only the drumming of my heartbeat, like an echo of fate. I glanced at Soo-yun laughing and joking with classmates across from me, then lowered my head to type. Sure, childhood friend. I originally thought that, given Pei-yu's usual level of sharp-tongued sarcasm, he would have taken the opportunity to mock me by now, but Pei-yu just stared blankly at the phone in his hand, frozen for a moment. Even through the distant crowd, I could see the flush spreading across his face. It's over. The match hasn't even started, and he's already getting all heated up. A glimmer of hope suddenly welled up in my heart. Perhaps he doesn't just want to be my childhood friend. As the final whistle blew, Pei-yu turned and kicked, scoring the last goal. He won the match. The cheers of thousands in the arena rose for him, but Pei-yu did not linger. He simply turned and ran in my direction. A crisp white t-shirt cuts through the sweltering summer heat. I had just taken a step in his direction. Suddenly, a voice from beside me called out to stop me. Senior Soo. The afternoon sun was blazing, and I squinted as I looked over. A boy with a shy expression stood not far from me. If it were any other stranger, I could have easily made up an excuse to send them away, but this person happened to be one of Soo-yun's close friends, Pei-yu, and I had originally agreed to go find them together to ask for information. I had no choice but to stop and patiently listen to him speak. Pei-yu crossed more than half of the playground, getting closer and closer to me. The gentle smile in his eyes seemed almost ready to overflow. My heart skipped a beat, responding to Pei-yu's smile, but the junior in front of me seemed to misunderstand my gesture, smiling shyly. Senior, have you already figured out why I'm here? I was stunned for a moment. The junior had already handed over his phone. A few days ago, my roommate told me I was fished out on the confession wall. He lowered his head, but his voice was loud and clear. Senior, I know it was you who fished me out, so I came to add you. What did you say? He spoke so quickly that by the time I realized what I had heard, it was already too late. Pei-yu was just a step away from me, yet the warm smile on his face instantly froze. Then, he turned and walked away without looking back. He left so quickly that I didn't even have time to stop him. Senior, my phone dinged with a notification. Without bothering to respond to the person in front of me, I hurriedly unlocked the screen, but it wasn't a message from Pei-yu. Instead, it was from my roommate, Ningyu. Can you help me keep the junior in front of me? He's the one I found on the confession wall before. Please help me QWQ. It was only then that I remembered my roommate lost her phone 2 days ago. Let me borrow your phone for a moment. So that's what it was for. I explained the situation to my junior in the briefest way possible, with no time to console his disappointment, and immediately called Pei-yu, but all I got was a busy signal. After making the 15th call to Pei-yu, I stared blankly at my phone. Suddenly, I noticed the date in the upper left corner. It suddenly occurred to me that today Pei-yu was attending a business event with Uncle Ning, and my dad was also there. Maybe he was just too busy. After all, no matter how much Pei-yu and I argued or fought in the past, he had never hung up on me. The sun had already set, and the night air in the transition between spring and summer still carried a chill. I was only wearing a short-sleeved shirt, and the night breeze made me shiver with goosebumps. The cold wind brushed against my cheeks, making my nose sting a little. Pei-yu, give me a call when you have a moment, and I'll explain everything to you. Since we were young, We've always agreed that misunderstandings should never be left unresolved overnight. I sat on the empty sports field for a long time when a familiar voice suddenly reached my ears. What are you doing here? I finally found you. I turned my head and saw Soo-Yun, panting heavily not long after. The basketball game ended this afternoon. He had disappeared without a trace. I hadn't had a chance to ask him what he had been doing this afternoon. Soo-Yun interrupted me. There's no time to explain. We need to get to the dinner party. Grandpa is in trouble. He pulled me up, and my mind was still in a daze. It wasn't until I was halfway around that I remembered. Soo-Yun was talking about my dad, in the taxi. Soo-Yun's voice was very low. When I was 8, I heard my grandma mention that during your junior year of college, my grandpa had a sudden cerebral infarction at a drinking party. According to my grandma, it happened before the start of summer, so it must have been this time. Listening to Soo-Yun's words, my hands were trembling, yet I couldn't help but think, did Soo-Yun travel through time just to change my father's fate? He noticed my unease and quickly reassured me. But you don't need to worry. Although Grandpa's condition was sudden, he was treated in time, plus, his recovery went quite well afterward, with no lasting complications. I turned my head, looking at the calm young man before me, and the doubts in my heart rose once more. If my father's illness wouldn't lead to an irreversible outcome, then why did he have to travel back to this time? Just as the taxi arrived at the hotel, it happened to coincide with Pei Yu carrying my unconscious father out. A group of adults furrowed their brows, their expressions filled with panic, yet Pei Yu walked with steady, determined steps, carrying my father firmly on his back, as if holding up a sky on the verge of collapse for me. On the wailing ambulance, Pei Yu and I squeezed side by side on one seat. Although Soo-Yun's words gave me some reassurance, I still couldn't help trembling. Suddenly, a wave of warmth enveloped my shoulders. I turned my head and saw that it was Pei Yu, who had taken off his coat and draped it over me. Pei Yu's hand was only an inch away from me. With just a slight turn, you could reach me. Pei Yu's slender fingers twitched, yet he did not take hold of me. Instead, he covered my hand with his suit sleeve, shielding me from the cold. Only the faint hum of instruments remained in the air. We faced each other in silence. I nodded quietly, expressing my gratitude to Pei Yu. Pei Yu lowered his head and smiled self-mockingly. How about that? Your childhood friend still has some use, right? I don't know if it's my imagination, but under the cold light of the ambulance, Pei Yu's eyes seemed to be slightly red. Su-Ning Yue, if possible, I hope we can always walk down the path of good friends together. But, just good friends. I pursed my lips and didn't respond. Soo-Yun, who had been almost invisible beside me, suddenly spoke up. Actually, have you ever considered the possibility of exploring a different direction? The hospital's treatment efficiency was very fast. My father's condition quickly stabilized from start to finish. Pei Yu kept running around helping out. The head nurse was an old friend of my mother's. Seeing Pei Yu like this, she smiled at me. Xiao Xing, is this your boyfriend? He's a good guy. I didn't have time to speak. Just as he reached the doorway, Pei Yu paused for a moment, then walked away at an even faster pace. Watching his retreating figure, I let out a soft sigh. Haven't caught up yet. Such a beautiful girl like you, and you're the one chasing after him. Listening to the head nurse's words, I felt a bit uneasy inside. Yeah. How could someone as beautiful as me have taken a liking to someone as quiet as Pei Yu? As I was leaning against the doorframe, lost in thought, the head nurse's gaze suddenly turned gossipy. I turned around and saw Soo-Yun walking up behind me, quickly explaining to the aunt, he's a junior, my distant nephew. The gossipy fire in the aunt's eyes died out as she turned and went back to the nurse's station. Under Soo-Yun's accusing gaze, I rubbed the tip of my nose. I'm not exactly lying, am I? Coming from 20 years in the future, how is that not far? I'll keep an eye on Grandpa. Here, you go find my dad. I shot Soo-Yun a glare, signaling him to keep his voice down. If my dad woke up and heard he had such a big grandson, he'd probably pass out again right away. Soo-Yun gave me a reassuring look, signaling me to hurry and find Pei Yu. Today is an important day in your relationship progress. My dad said it was today that you two fell in love, but I didn't want to move. Did your dad tell you who confessed first, him or me? When I found Pei Yu, he was sitting by the artificial lake. What are you looking at? Watching the fish. I looked at Pei Yu's fluffy back of the head and couldn't help but laugh. By now, the sky had completely darkened, the streetlights in the hospital dotted the surroundings, but trying to see the koi in the artificial pond was utterly impossible. I walked up to Peiyu, crouched down, and carefully observed his expression. Will the fish come to the hook on its own? Peiyu's gaze flinched away as if scalded the moment it met mine. I pressed on relentlessly, and he simply closed his eyes, took a deep breath. Su Ningyue, what's wrong? My fingertips slipped into his sleeve. Weren't you just warming my hands? Why can't you do it now? Peiyu's face flushed completely red, his thin lips pressed into a tight line, his voice slightly hoarse. Su Ningyue, could you please stop tormenting me like this? I was taken aback. Where did Peiyu learn to act like this? It's as if I'm forcing love upon him. Didn't you just receive a confession from a guy this afternoon? But I never agreed to it. And why didn't you answer my call when I phoned you? Peiyu suddenly covered his face, his voice muffled through his palms, thick with a sob. Su Ningyue, sometimes I wonder, if everything is predestined, is there any point in our efforts? I pried Peiyu's hands away and saw his eyes, red like a rabbit's. His voice was carried softly on the night breeze. Do you know why I left so quickly today? It wasn't entirely because I was angry with you. Suyun sent me a message saying that your father might have a cerebral infarction tonight. He let me wipe the tears from his face with my fingertips, smiling bitterly. I was still very suspicious of his identity, but shortly after I arrived at the dinner, your father fell ill. It was exactly as Suyun had described, so I thought, if everything is truly destined, can we still change it? A scalding tear fell into my palm, shattering into pieces. That day, Suyun's answer made it clear. Perhaps we won't end up together in the future. I sighed. Could someone as smart as Peiyu, a top student, also get stuck in such a dead end? It seems Suyun's words really got to him. I couldn't help but laugh. You're still laughing? I don't want us to end up breaking up in the future. So I thought, maybe it would be better not to confess. I stared into his affectionate eyes, a slight curve forming at the corner of my lips. But affection can escape from the eyes. Fool, I wanted to speak up, to tell Peiyu that I am his future wife, but suddenly, I was at a loss for words. These words seemed to be held back by an invisible restraint, unable to be spoken no matter what. It was probably because of that so-called transmigration manual, but it's okay. I wiped away his tears. All you need to do is answer me. Do you like me or not? After I got together with Peiyu, Suyun completely vanished, probably because he was a time traveler. He was always elusive and mysterious in his daily life, but on his last day here, he was especially different. Before leaving, he invited me to the cafe at the school gate. It was an utterly overcast day, with dark clouds completely shrouding the sunlight. Are you really leaving just like that? Peiyu still doesn't know. Suyun directly cut me off. You figured it out. You can't personally tell Peiyu that you are his future wife, can you? His expression was gloomy, completely different from the sunny, Chinibyu youth I first met. There are many things you don't know. For example, the flow of time in my world is completely different from that in this one. He mentioned a rather exaggerated number. In the 5 months since we met, 5 years have already passed. In that time, 20 years from now, 5 years is enough to change a person. But you need to know, these are secrets only you and I share. Seeing his somber expression, I also felt a bit down. Don't be sad. He pulled a thin photograph from his coat. The main subject of the photo was a lottery ticket used to claim a prize. It was the very ticket that Peiyu had won the jackpot with. The surrounding decor looks exactly like an amusement park in our area. Mom, after a long time, Suyun called me by that title again. Tears shimmered in his eyes, probably feeling the same reluctance as I do. I'll be waiting for you in the future. Until he completely vanished into the air. Only then did I snap back to reality at Peiyu's call. Ningyue, why are you crying? I slowly reached up to touch my cheek. Sure enough, I felt the cold tears on my hand. He's gone. A look of confusion appeared in Peiyu's handsome eyes. Who are you talking about? I mean Su. The 2 words, Suyun, got stuck in my throat. Just like when I wanted to tell Peiyu that I was his future wife. No matter what method is used, it cannot be spoken aloud. I recall again what Suyun said before leaving. This is a secret only you and I know. So that's how it is. He just vanished like that. No one else remembers he was ever here, except for me, not even Peiyu. Peiyu noticed my unusual mood and patted me soothingly. Don't cry. Didn't you always say you wanted to go to the amusement park? I followed his gaze. Only then did I realize, Pei-yu and I were actually standing at the entrance of the amusement park. Not far from where we were was a lottery station. Pei-yu, let's go buy a lottery ticket, shall we? Let's see who has better luck today. He gave me an indulgent look, a bit helpless. Okay, whatever you want to do, I'll do it with you, I grinned. Pei-yu, if we weren't childhood friends, would you still spoil me like this? He suddenly turned around and hugged me tightly, as if wanting to press me into his very bones and blood. Su Ningyue, how I treat you has always been because you are you. In the next life, even if I didn't grow up with you, I would still find you. I sighed. Why is Pei-yu being so clingy today? Okay, this is what you promised me, pinky swear. 100 years no changing. I pulled Pei-yu along, heading towards the lottery station, but he stopped me. Ningyu, I turned my head, and he had already let go of my hand. He knelt on one knee and took a ring out of his pocket. Marry me. Although Pei-yu and I were about to graduate from university, both sets of parents had already started urging us to get married, but I didn't expect him to propose so quickly. Fortunately, the summer breeze was gentle, and passers-by on the street cast their blessings upon us. I thought for less than half a second before extending my hand to him. Okay, my heart was pounding fiercely. At this moment, I finally realized I was looking forward to our future just as much as he was. I just didn't know when would the days described by Su Yun arrive, where I would receive a bouquet of flowers from Pei-yu every day. Pei-yu and I finally arrived at the lottery station. I politely declined his offer to pay for me and insisted on paying myself. After all, I had the winning numbers provided by Su Yun in my hands. Such a cheat code. Why not use it? What if I could make a fortune? I flashed a confident smile and recited a string of numbers. Pei-yu lowered his head, lost in thought. He casually mentioned a few numbers, none of which resembled mine in the slightest. This is a sure win. It wasn't until the sky was completely dark that Pei-yu and I reluctantly left the amusement park. I couldn't wait to check the winning numbers. It was unexpected. The winning numbers are completely different from the ones I chose. Could it be that what Su Yun told me wasn't for this time? But the winning numbers look somewhat familiar. Pei-yu, I looked at him seriously, lowering my voice. Did you win? Pei-yu pursed his lips and nodded, showing me the results on his phone, the exact same set of numbers. I suddenly remembered the first time Su Yun and I met. He said to me, the time travel manual says the winning numbers may change, but the winner never does. I pouted, thinking how lucky Pei-yu was, yet there wasn't a trace of excitement in his eyes about winning. The hand gripping my fingertips tightened more and more, yet I felt no pain. I lowered my head to look. At some point, my body had become transparent. From the distant horizon came a completely unfamiliar voice. The patient shows no signs of waking up. Another voice, yet all too familiar, young, tinged with a heart-wrenching hoarseness. Dad, it's time to wake up from the dream. But Pei-yu just turned to look at me. In his hand, a bouquet of champagne roses had appeared at some point. His eyes rimmed red. Ningyu, are you going to leave me again? I forgot. I entered Pei-yu's dream in the form of a soul. In this world, there is no such thing as a time management bureau. Pei-yu and I are indeed childhood sweethearts. However, our marriage did not begin with mutual affection. After all, during our university years, we were bitter rivals, as incompatible as fire and water. It was an arranged marriage by our parents that brought us together. It wasn't until a year after our marriage that I discovered Pei-yu's secret crush diary in his study. It turned out he had liked me from a very early time. I've always had many suitors, and the constant disturbance was becoming unbearable. To prevent further harassment from people I had no interest in, I casually mentioned that I already had someone I liked, sunny, cheerful, cute, and clingy. Pei-yu thought he wasn't talking about himself. After all, he had always been aloof at school, but even he himself didn't realize it. He only shows his unique side when he's with me. He loves to laugh and have fun, and he enjoys doing everything with me. My slowness is on par with Pei-yu's. I once thought that secretly buying matching couple items with me was just him being a copycat. We two fools have missed each other for far too long. Only then was the misunderstanding completely resolved. In the second year of our marriage, Pei-yu and I had Su Yun. He said that Yun means sunlight. With me, his life is filled with irreplaceable sunshine. They say there's a 7-year itch, but Pei-yu and I were still like a couple in the honeymoon phase. We would start missing each other like crazy if we were apart for more than 3 days. In the 15th year of our marriage, I got a great career opportunity. I was going abroad for further studies. The day of the flight was overcast the last second before switching to airplane mode. The message Peiyu sent me was, "Darling, after you come back, let's go to the beach and sunbathe together, okay?" Before my body dissipated, I closed my eyes. What a pity, Peiyu, every time I leave you. It's a cloudy day. When Peiyu woke up in the hospital bed, his skin was pale to the point of looking sickly. Since Su Ningyue left, he has never again basked in the sun. Whenever encountering intense sunlight, Peiyu would wrap himself up completely. The most intense sunlight of his life was always connected to Su Ningyue. After Su Ningyue passed away, every time he saw the sun, it would remind him of his deceased wife. From then on, his life was left with nothing but gloom. The only constant was that every morning, he would place a fresh bouquet of champagne roses before Su Ningyue's memorial photo. His wife had been allergic to pollen since childhood. When it was time to hold the wedding, he looked at the champagne roses in the display booklet with a face full of regret. "They're so beautiful. If only I weren't allergic. I could touch them with my own hands." Now, Peiyu could finally help his wife fulfill this wish. In the third year after Su Ningyue passed away, Su Yun turned 18, Peiyu handed over all company affairs to the vice president, and along with them, the 18-year-old heir, he himself went to the seaside sanatorium. The sunbathing beach he had once hoped to visit with Su Ningyue was not far from the sanatorium. Here, Peiyu underwent hypnosis with a therapist. "Mr. Ning, please reconfirm the rules you have set." In the dream, Ms. Su cannot tell you that she is your wife unless you confess your feelings to her. When you both go to the place where you propose to her, you will automatically wake up. Yes, when Peiyu closed his eyes, the seaside had been overcast and rainy for more than 10 consecutive days, but he didn't care. As long as he sank into the dream, he could embrace his son once again. "Ningyu, I'm here, this time. Let's not misunderstand each other for so long again, okay?" After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time. 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 Next